Okay, we're going. All right, great. Welcome back, everybody. Thank you so much. I hope you had a great week. And again, we want to continue to extend our support to our friends and fellow members in Hong Kong for the things that they're pioneering and pushing through right now and standing up for. I hope everybody got something out of last week's reading. This week we're going to start on page 109, because that way we include a little bit of a recap of the previous chapter, which it's been a month since that was actually read. Okay? But also last week we started out with, you're going to answer Mr. Lee's question. And Mr. Lee, I never forget you, my brother, because you are my brother. And so, oops, what's the matter here? Sorry. I have to do this. I thought this was already open.
No, that's not that's the wrong number.
That's right. That's your number, isn't it? I'm doing your number. Okay. I had asked last week, Mr. Lee had asked a question while we were away on our business trip. And actually, Mr. Lee had asked a previous question to that had never really been answered yet. And that was, he asked about, does Buddhism have some process for apology? Okay? And yes, it's an actual term. It's called Sangye. Does everybody know what Sangye is? Are you familiar with Sangye? Sangye is a very important part of our practice. You really don't know Sangye. Well, Mr. Lee, once again, you've gone the ding, 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 ding question. Okay, it's very important. Sangye is our apology to the Gohonzon for circumstances that we feel some sense of responsibility or regret over. We wish things had been different, or we know that we did things in a way that we wish we would have been able to do them differently, or as circumstances resulted in our life because of something that we know we contributed to. It's totally remorse. It's remorse. But it's remorse with a positive function. In other words, it's not remorse for the sake of, and you might want to close that. That might be where the mosquito's coming from. It's not remorse for the sake of a sense of guilt. All right? The apology that we do, Sangye, is not remorse out of a sense of guilt. It is a process of constructively changing poison into medicine. Okay? Because in reality, Sangye is what? It's apology. Okay? So what are you apologizing? How are you apologizing? You're apologizing with Daimoku in front of the Gohonzon, correct? Mm-hmm. Okay, so now, has the thing that you're apologizing for suddenly become something of value? Yes.
It should be.
Whatever, it's like all of our problems. Everything that takes us closer to the Gohonzon through prayer allows us an opportunity to see actual proof that strengthens not only our faith, but then gives us the ability to encourage others with our life. Okay? So Sangye is a very important thing for everybody to be aware of. When you're in front of the Gohonzon, when you're thinking about the things that you think that you wish had gone differently, or that you wish were different. Mr. Lee's specifically asking, I think this is leading to something that has to do with a relationship issue. His first question from a while back was, is there such a thing as apology? Yes, there's a mechanism of apology in Nichiren Buddhism. Okay? We call it Zange, Z-A-N-G-E. You guys really don't know this concept?
You must know the Chinese version.
You must know the Chinese version. Okay. So, okay. All right. So, but again, the key for Sangye, all right, is to always utilize and realize what Sangye is. The purpose of Sangye is to change karma. It's not to be guilty of something that you did. It's not to lament something that you did. And it's not to wish for a fairy tale to occur around, now miraculously you realize what you did wrong and everything will be better now. Okay? It's understanding that you control the causal process. Why are you doing Sangye? to eliminate the karmic reality in your life that was expressed through the experience that you're reflecting on. Okay, do you understand? Okay, so it's the first step in making a change that's a complete turnaround. All right? Say you were talking about a relationship. You can't control somebody else's mind or life or heart. All right? If you lost somebody in love because of your own misdeeds or lack of attention or whatever mistake that might have been, the realization of that doesn't suddenly absolve you for the causes that you made, right? Okay? But you're not cut off from being able to find a resolution through the acceptance of 100% of what you're experiencing as karma that you've created for yourself. So Sangye is also a process of creating the clarity in your mind from the Buddha nature that will come forth from you chanting Daimoku about this in that manner, so that you perceive it from the perspective of your karma and your life, because that's the only thing you have control over. Do you understand where I'm going with this?
Yeah.
Okay, so he's saying the next part of this is that's the thing about apology, and I'm sorry the damn phone keeps switching off every time. Okay, he says, does Nichiren Buddhism allow people make mistakes in life? Dude, if it didn't, I couldn't be sitting here. All right? So let me assure you from firsthand experience, it absolutely accepts and allows for people that make multiple mistakes in their life. Okay? And they could be pretty goddamn serious ones, frankly speaking, and still overcome. Still completely reversed. Okay? But never can that result occur so long as we don't perceive the reality that we created the karma that we experienced. And if we created karma that was experienced mutually, both parties created karma, not just one. Okay? If whatever you did that was so objectionable that you might have made somebody go away from you, they also had created the karma to experience that reality. You didn't inflict it upon them. Everything is shared. There's no separation between any of us. Okay? We are all the screen for each one of our own projectors. Do you understand what I'm saying when I say that?
Yes.
The movie that we watch as reality in our daily life of our life was all written, directed, and produced by us. Period. There was nothing that happened that we weren't absolutely responsible for. Okay? So he's asking, last part here, if I can get, okay. I got a question. It says, chanting to the Gohonzon solves us. Does Nichiren Buddhism able to solve our problems and desires, especially those that each person wants to be with each other? Now again, there's a whole question that Marilyn asked a long time ago. It says, finding a spouse, question answered is the name of that video. Go look that one up, and I discuss this in detail from my life, from my personal experience, in relationship to that question. You can change anything, but only if you accept the responsibility for the fact that the karma of needing it to be changed, or it being something that you want to have changed, started and originates with you. If you think that it's something else or outside of you, or it's the other person, or it's any kind of anything other than you, you're missing the point. Keep chanting Daimoku to the Gohonzon. Right? So that wisdom can come forth.
Yeah.
All right? So, Mr. Lee, I don't know if that completely answered your question, but that's as brief, that's as much as I can get into it right now tonight with you. You and I should figure out a way that we can communicate directly with one another, because I would love to go into some of this stuff just like one-on-one with you. At any rate, going on to page 109, because we got a lot to read tonight. Okay? Starting on page 109, study guide from the previous chapter, which would have been chapter 10, because we're going to do chapter 11 tonight. The Bodhisattva of the earth depicted in the Lotus Sutra, the Bodhisattvas of the earth depicted in the Lotus Sutra are people who, in the defiled age of the latter day of the law, impart the light of hope to those who are suffering. That would be us. These bodhisattvas tirelessly reach out to each individual with compassion and courage until fresh life force wells forth from their life. Disciples of Shakyamuni Buddha and practitioners of the essential teaching of the Lotus Sutra in the latter day of the law, through the practice of the mystic law, are determined to awaken all people to their inherent Buddhahood. So what did that just say? Bodhisattvas of the earth are first and foremost committed to Kosen Rufu, to the widespread propagation of the Daishonen's teaching. Okay? Because that is the Buddhism of sowing, that is the appropriate teaching for the latter day of the law. You have a question?
No.
Okay. So, second paragraph. Their belief in the greatness of all people, and what does that say? Why would it say their belief? Who knows what their belief is? Why would he say their belief in the greatness of all people allows them to overcome self-centeredness? Period. Why can he make that comment? I'm trying to get your head around where he's coming from when he's talking like this. Why is he able to say that?
Because of the widespread propagation.
Yeah, but what's that got to do with anything? Their belief in the greatness of all people. Why are they?
Before it was just in Japan and now it's worldwide.
Yes, no, but that's not really the point I'm trying to make. The point is their belief. So these bodhisattvas of the earth is saying,
Yeah.
he's saying in the second paragraph, in the first sentence says, these bodhisattvas of the earth have a belief in the greatness of all people. Okay? Why is he able to say that the bodhisattvas of the earth have a belief in the greatness of all people?
But if we are one,
Because we believe we are all Buddhas.
Exactly, because we believe we are all Buddhists. The reason they're doing the Shakabuku propagation is because they recognize the Buddha nature in those people.
yes.
Okay? That's what he's talking about when he says greatness. He's talking about that potential of Buddhahood. All right? That allows them to overcome self-centeredness. Okay? Thinking that everything revolves around them. All right? Because this philosophy says, nah, it doesn't revolve around you. It revolves around all things. Right? So, barriers such as race, and if you approach it from that perspective, if these are being approached from that perspective, barriers such as race, culture, and nationality are not hindrances to the bodhisattvas of the earth. They're not hung up on those things that most people look at as things that create differences. They only see the uniformity, the reality that all people are the same. They are at the source Buddhas. Okay? Oh?
Yeah.
Okay. Those who seek to practice the Lotus Sutra only for themselves are not bodhisattvas of the earth and will be unable to receive the heritage of the ultimate law. So they shouldn't be disappointed about the results that they're getting as it relates to what's being expressed back in their life from their practice. Do you understand? Okay. So Nichiren Daishonin alluded that he was fulfilling the mission of Bodhisattva superior practices, one of the four leaders of the Bodhisattvas of the earth. He states, whether or not Bodhisattva superior practices has appeared in this world, Nichiren has already made a start in propagating this teaching. Nichiren was the first person to declare and spread Nam-myoho Renge-kyo during the latter day of the law. That's an undeniable fact. The Bodhisattvas of the earth practice the Lotus Sutra by chanting Nam-myoho Renge-kyo and sharing that teaching with other people, right? That's practicing for oneself, and for others, that's Jigyo Keita, right? This is an active practice and not a merely academic and intellectual exercise. It's not just an opinion of life, okay? It's a process by which you live your life on a daily basis. This point is stressed by the fact that all 4 bodhisattvas of the earth have practices in their name. So this isn't about a knowledge. This isn't about a belief. This is about who you are and what you do. All right? The benefits of the practices of the 4 leaders can be manifested in the life of every person who chants and spreads the mystic law as a bodhisattva of the earth. They do that, that's what they are. In The Heritage of the Ultimate Law of Life, this Gosho, Nichiren Daishonin likens these benefits to the functions of the 4 elements, each one a metaphor for a way to overcome delusion. And there's a chart on page 101 of this lecture that you can read, and we went over that a month ago. The earth from which the bodhisattvas emerge is, according to Tentai, the world of truth, the depths of the Dharma nature innate in life. Because they emerge from this essential truth, which we also refer to as the 9th consciousness, they function, though they function as bodhisattvas, they are Buddhas. All right? Nichiren refers to them as possessors of the essential or original law. The members of the SGI who chant Nam-myoho Renge-kyo and spread the essential teaching throughout the world are clearly bodhisattvas of the earth. All right? So now, proceeding to page 111 and the lecture. I'm going to do this in reverse this time. Rather than starting and reading this and doing the gray boxes at the end, I'm going to start and do the gray boxes on the front end and then come back and start to read the lecture from beginning to end. So skip to page 115. And let's get into Jigyo Keita. And again, there are much more thorough explanations of each of these terms probably in the dictionary. For sure one of them is longer than what you see here. But practice for oneself and others, page 115, this is the most essential thing for you to understand, because if you don't get this part, you can never attain Buddhahood. You can never attain Buddhahood. The Japanese term Jigyo Keita translates into English as practice for oneself and others. Jigyo, literally self-practice, refers to the Buddhist practice for personal benefit and the accumulation of wisdom. That's why most people engage in studying Buddhism, right? Okay. Keita, literally changing others, means instructing and converting others so that they will embrace Buddhist teachings. It means to practice Buddhism in order to benefit others. You're practicing for the benefit of others, not just for yourself. While it can be considered a general term for the Buddhist spirit of altruism, it should be noted that sharing Buddhism with another person and helping that person carry out their practice is the ultimate intent of Nichiren Buddhism. This practice also enriches oneself. Practice for oneself and others should not be considered 2 distinct practices. Understand that, right? But rather 2 aspects of a bodhisattva's complete practice. Nichiren indicates that the correct practice of Nam-myoho Renge-kyo includes both practice for oneself and practice for others. And why is that so important? Why is practice for oneself and practice for others so essential? Why can't you just practice for yourself?
Mercy.
Mercy is what's motivating about mercy
Compassion.
and compassion. Well, fundamentally, transactionally, why is it important? What is the goal of the bodhisattvas of the earth? Is it to attain Buddhahood?
And he'll be honest.
No, they've already all attained Buddhahood.
Propagation of
Exactly. If you're not doing this for others part, the Kosen Rufu part is never going to happen.
Right.
Okay? That's why it's so important. That's why it's tied to you in a basis saying, if you don't do the part that makes Kosen Rufu happen, you don't get the goodies of the personal self-enrichment. You can't just focus on you. You've got to focus on your responsibility and what the teaching says that responsibility is. And why does the teaching say that's what it is? Who made the teaching?
The original
Teacher, exactly. Okay, so the teaching says that because
And we
it's
are all
required. Exactly, we're all an
disciples of the
extension of that
original
teaching.
teacher.
We're living entities of that teaching, right? Okay, the next box on page 117, the treasure tower. We've read this, but let's read it again. The treasure tower, as depicted in the 11th chapter of the Lotus Sutra, is a massive and lavishly decorated stupa that emerges from the earth. The tower houses many treasures. A Buddha from a distant land called Treasure Purity, who arrives to hear Shakyamuni preach the Lotus Sutra and attests to its veracity. It is adorned with 7 kinds of gems, which Nichiren Daishonin interprets as symbolizing the 7 treasures, or elements of Buddhist practice, namely, hearing the correct teaching, believing it, keeping the precepts, engaging in meditation, practicing assiduously, renouncing one's attachments, and reflecting on oneself. Nichiren, in his writings, interprets the treasure tower in several interrelated ways. Equating it with the law of Nam-myoho Renge Kyo, with the Gohonzon, or object of devotion, and with one's life itself. For example, he tells a disciple, the Butsubo is therefore the treasure tower itself, and the treasure tower is a Butsubo himself. No other knowledge is purposeful. Okay, does everybody understand that? This also refers to the reality that there in actuality is no distinction between anything. Okay? All right, going on to page 119, the 3 great secret laws. The core principles of Nichiren Daishonin's teaching are the object of devotion of the essential teaching, the Daimoku, Nam-myoho Renge Kyo of the essential teaching, and the sanctuary of the essential teaching. Here, essential teaching refers to the teaching of Nam-myoho Renge Kyo and is not the essential teaching or the latter 14 chapters of the Lotus Sutra. The 3 great secret laws represent Nichiren's embodiment of the mystic law to which he was enlightened and manifested fully in his life in a form that all people can practice and thereby gain access to that law within their own lives. He associated the 3 great secret laws with the 3 types of learning set forth in Buddhism: precepts, meditation, and wisdom. Specifically, the object of devotion corresponds to meditation, the sanctuary, literally precepts platform, to precepts, and the daimoku to wisdom. Because embracing this object of devotion called the Gohonzon is the only precept in Nichiren's teaching, the place where the Gohonzon is enshrined corresponds to the place where one's vows to observe the Buddhist precepts, the ordination platform or sanctuary of the essential teaching. The ordination platform or the sanctuary of the essential teaching. The daimoku of the essential teaching indicates the invocation or chanting of Nam-myoho Renge Kyo with faith in the object of devotion. It includes chanting for oneself and teaching it to others. Okay, it's included in Jigyo Keiden. They are called secret because they are teachings that had never previously been revealed. They were hidden in the subtext or in the depths of the lines of the Lotus Sutra until Nichiren, through his vow and practice, revealed them for the sake of the happiness of all humankind. So everybody understands what's the origin of the 3 great secret laws. Nichiren Daishonin's teaching of his Buddhism of sowing. All right? Okay? These laws, these concepts were never known prior to him, and he was able to ascertain them from the depths, just like he did Nam-myoho Renge Kyo of the Lotus Sutra. Okay, you're with me? All right, for the sake of all humankind. True cause and true effect on page 121. In the lifespan chapter of the Lotus Sutra, page 121, In the Lifespan chapter of the Lotus Sutra, Shakyamuni Buddha reveals that although people have long believed he attained enlightenment for the first time in his present life, that is not the case. Rather, he says, it has been immeasurable, boundless, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s, millions of nayutas of kalpas since I in fact attained Buddhahood. Thus he says that he first attained Buddhahood at a time in the past too remote to imagine. Until this statement, his disciples thought he had attained enlightenment in this life as an effect of past virtuous practices carried out over previous lifetimes. But now it appeared Shakyamuni had already been enlightened while carrying out these benevolent practices. Thus, such acts were expressions of his Buddhahood rather than the means to attain Buddhahood. You with me? You see where he's making the distinction? He says that in the extremely remote past he had carried out the Bodhisattva way, but he doesn't qualify that those further actions were actually Bodhisattva. Okay? And at that distant time attained an enduring life state of Buddhahood. So he had long ago attained Buddhahood. In light of this revelation, Shakyamuni's original enlightenment in the remote past came to be known as the true effect. Okay? Nichiren Daishonin identified the law of Nam-myoho Renge-kyo as the true cause, explaining that it enabled not only Shakyamuni but all Buddhas to attain enlightenment. Moreover, it makes it possible for all human beings to do so. So, what is that? That's Nam-myoho Renge-kyo. It is the fundamental law that has existed in the universe and in life since time without beginning. It's the law that Shakyamuni revealed or referred to several times in the Lifespan chapter of the Lotus Sutra. From the viewpoint of the true effect, Buddhahood is still a result of causes piled up over time. I'll say that again. From the viewpoint of true effect, or the Buddhism of the harvest, Buddhahood is still a result of causes piled up over time. So is there any simultaneity of causality there? No, because that's cause and then effect. All right? He says, the effect of Buddhahood comes in some distant lifetime, not in this lifetime, right? But from the standpoint of true cause, which is Nichiren's teaching, Buddhahood is recognized as an eternally present potential within human life at each moment. We're all originally Buddhas. That's our original life state, right? It's not something that's handed to us or that is acquired. That's the point. Chanting Nam-myoho Renge-kyo with faith and determination immediately invokes the true cause, bringing forth one's innate Buddha nature. This is called the simultaneity of cause and effect. Both true cause and true effect exist together in a single moment. The present moment and every moment thereafter are transformed for the better by the wisdom and vitality of one's emerging Buddhahood. In Nichiren Buddhism, Nichiren and his teaching are referred to respectively as the teacher and the Buddhism of true cause, while Shakyamuni and his teachings are referred to as the teacher and the Buddhism of true effect. All right? But go back one paragraph where it says, but from the standpoint of true cause, Buddhahood is recognized as an eternally present potential within human life at each moment. Chanting Nam-myoho Renge-kyo with faith and determination immediately invokes the true cause. But what is the faith and determination that's being spoken of there?
But you have to be...
The faith in Nichiren's teaching.
Yeah.
Okay? Because it's only in Nichiren's teaching that this potential of expression of Buddhahood in your present form is revealed. Exactly. Okay? So the faith is in Nichiren's teaching. And what's the determination? That would invoke this true cause, which is the simultaneity of cause and effect, which means no matter what's been going on, what goes on from this moment on is up to you.
The faith...
The determination is to reveal the truth of Nichiren's teaching in your own life. That determination is to attain Buddhahood in your present form, or actually to reveal Buddhahood in your present form, to validate Nichiren's teaching as his disciple. That's what you do. That's why you're doing it. Not to show that you're a superstar, to show that he is. His teaching allowed you to do this. There's no separation between you and him. It might as well be him showing it. Do you understand? Okay, because that's the same influence that's creating. That's what this invokes true cause. That's what that power and influence of true cause is. It's that same thing. Okay, you with me? And then I'll save this last gray box for the end. So going back to page 111, starting at the beginning of chapter 11. Bodhisattva Superior Practices. Everybody's with me? Page 111. Going back to the Gosho. Bodhisattva Superior Practices. Pioneering the way for human victory by unlocking the highest potential of all people. Why does that say that? Bodhisattva Superior Practices, and then what's the subtitle underneath that? Pioneering the way for human victory by unlocking the highest potential of all people. Isn't that the function of superior practices? Okay, so that's the point. All right? That's what each one of us also does, right? Okay, so is there any difference in the function of superior practices and the function of us? None. None. All right? So, here that's the whole point of this lecture, okay? How admirable, the Gosho says, how admirable, Sairenbo, that you have asked about the transmission of the ultimate law of life and death. I have never heard of anyone who has asked such a question. And because you asked this question, I get to answer it now. I have answered in complete detail in this letter, so please take it deeply to heart. The important point is to carry out your practice confident that Nam-myoho Renge-kyo alone is the heritage that was transferred from Shakyamuni and many treasures to Bodhisattva's superior practices. The function of fire is to burn and give light. The function of water is to wash away filth. The winds blow away dust and breathe life into plants, animals, and human beings. The earth produces the grasses and trees, and heaven provides nourishing moisture. The 5 characters of Myoho Renge-kyo are also like that. They are the cluster of blessings brought by the bodhisattvas of the earth, disciples of the Buddha in his true identity. The Lotus Sutra says that Bodhisattva's superior practices will appear now in the latter day of the law to propagate this teaching. But has this happened? Whether or not Bodhisattva's superior practices has appeared in this world, Nichiren has already made a start in propagating this teaching. Okay? Now, but I want to bring your attention to the last sentence of that first paragraph. He says, the important point is to carry out your practice confident that Nam-myoho Renge-kyo alone is the heritage that was transferred from Shakyamuni and many treasures to Bodhisattva's superior practices. Okay? Now, what's the significance of that line also, though? What is he also saying in code? What's that another way of saying? Believe in my teaching with your whole heart and don't look for answers beyond it because there aren't any. Okay, he's basically saying the important point is for you to carry out your practice confident that what I've told you, that Nam-myoho Renge-kyo, is the only thing that Shakyamuni transferred. There was no other secret shit. You don't have to worry about there being something else you have to find, or something else that I haven't revealed, or something else that's so profound I can't let you know about it. He's saying all you got to know is what I've told you, and that's all there is. Just trust what I've said, though. That's the important point. That's what he said there. All right? So, going on to the lecture. This is an unbelievably wonderful thing. Listen carefully to what President Ikeda says. Inner joy, because he's talking about each one of them. Inner joy and vitality are indispensable to realizing happiness for ourselves and others and to conduct an alliance of people dedicated to the cause of good. Okay, so are you filled with inner joy and vitality?
Yes.
All the time?
No.
No. Okay. All right. So, we all can say yes. And we can
Yes.
all say no. I would hope everybody could say yes. That everybody at least that's at this table has at least for a while or for a moment has experienced inner joy and vitality. But he's saying that these are essential components to us being able to achieve Kosen Rufu. As bodhisattvas of the earth, if that's our job, be aware. You can't be a mopey son of a bitch feeling sorry for yourself and feeling like you got no weenie, okay, and pull this off.
No.
Okay, that's the first thing he says. All right? To conduct ourselves as an alliance of people dedicated to the cause of good. It's not enough to know all this shit. You've got to be it. You can't just have that big happy smile on your face when you come to the realization the same thing you've heard 50,000 times is true. It was 50,000 times true already. But we still make the same expression as though this is new information. Okay? Rather than bringing it forth in action.
Right.
Okay? So he's saying, we can only deeply inspire others, which is what we're going to have to do if we're going to do Kosen Rufu as bodhisattvas of the earth, right? We can only deeply inspire others through our own lives.
Yes.
Not through telling them stories about Nichiren or reading his experiences that are expressed in the Go Show or what happened back in the 50s with the Soka Gakkai in Japan.
Yeah.
Okay? It's really about, do we do human revolution? Do we express a change in who we are
Yes.
that's enough to give evidence to the teaching that we're utilizing? All right? He says, through our own lives, and we can only spur them, those people that we're trying to convince to engage in what we're engaged in, to embark on interchange themselves through our actions and conduct as people undertaking this same challenge. So words are cheap, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. But bullshit walks. Okay? Action's what speaks.
Right.
All right?
No bullshit. Action.
Exactly. No bullshit. This is all happy talk unless we're doing it, is what I'm trying to emphasize.
But
And that's why Daisaku Ikeda is making such a point of it.
But when you are like that, you look like sometimes like a bully because you are really yourself in front of people and they are not in front of you.
Okay.
So it's kind of a...
No, again, if you look like a bully, it's from their life condition to yours, and it's
Response,
reflecting them, not you. Okay? You don't ever worry about looking. If you look like a bully, if you think you look like
No,
a bully, then you
no,
revise,
but
revise
I
your
imagine-
behavior. But if you're imagining other people, don't be hung up. Again, the confidence that Daisaku Ikeda takes shit for constantly, it's expressed throughout the writings of Nichiren Daishonin.
Yeah, but it's not always good to tell the truth. They are not accepting every truth. The
Again.
truth of you being even in front of them.
I understand, but that's not your problem.
Ah. But we want to do Kosen Rufu, so we have to
You
be
want to
in
do
front.
Kosen Rufu, but you don't do Kosen Rufu by lying or
No,
by using
never.
expedient means. That's
So-
an expedient. When you hold back something.
Right.
But
Okay. No. We're gonna get into this. That's the difference between Buddhism harvest and Buddhism the sowing. Buddhism the harvest, they whatever I can see your mind's capable of understanding. Sometimes, okay.
people are always having an outside and an inside, right? So
Yes.
the outside, it's really not.
What I'm
Sometimes
trying to say though is that none of that matters.
doesn't matter.
No,
okay?
I don't give a shit if I piss them off or if they hate me for the rest of my life. Frankly speaking, I could give a shit. This is not I'm not trying to shakabuka them for the sake of being popular or liked by them. I could give a shit about that. I'm trying to introduce them to the truth. And even if they tell me to go away and hate me, I just open the door for them. That's my job, is opening the door.
Yes. Yeah.
Understand, I'm a door opener. Okay? They are the only ones that can follow through by entering that door. I have nothing to do with whether they enter that door. I can do everything I can to get them to, but they're the only ones. And if they look at me as an asshole, sorry, look in a mirror. Okay? Because I'm not the asshole. I'm following the teaching of the original teacher. How could you say that, express that there's anything wrong in doing that? I haven't read any here where it says,
But
worry
society
about what they
is
think
the
about how. Again, of course you can never be expressing yourself in a way that's obtuse or arrogant. That's not what this is called for. But this confidence and this understanding of the
So
truth is.
listening is not even, people are not listening.
So what?
Because
If they're not listening, then they're not listening. That's not keeping you from speaking, and it shouldn't have any effect on what you're saying.
But living in the society, each kind of society has the codes, their own codes. So you have to be universal, yeah?
Yes, you have to be
So
universally.
the way you are should reflect around.
Okay, but I don't quite get your point.
It's
You're
like
saying that basically, I just read this, and you're saying, yeah, but if you do that, people would think you're arrogant, or they would think something, whatever. Yeah. Okay. And what I'm trying to say is, who gives a shit if they think you're arrogant? Do you?
it's not even arrogant. It's
What? Crazy?
maybe.
Who cares?
I always wonder if I'm crazy.
I don't ever give a shit what anybody thinks. As
I
long as
stand up
I'm,
alone, alone in the wind.
again, we're all different.
Yeah.
I may not care and someone else may care. What I'm trying to explain and convey to you is what this Gosho lecture says. And I cannot change the words on the page.
Okay.
I only understand exactly what they mean. And I know the exact behavior that they express that we are supposed to be expressing. Okay? And none of it qualifies worrying about whether or not they like what we're saying.
Oh, never.
Please let me read the rest of this.
But to reach.
To reach them, I have to tell them the truth first. God damn it.
Yeah.
I don't have to reach them on the basis of them liking me. That's, again,
But I have this impression
that's
when I go
Shoju
to
versus
local
Shakabuku.
meeting.
No, that's Shoju versus Shakabuku. You're talking about a very gradual, gentle way to introduce and bring them along. We don't do this in Buddhism of sewing.
No.
But
No.
they do, huh?
No, we don't. Well, if they do, they're not doing the correct thing then. That's my point. I'm reading this to you from Daisaku Ikeda. That's the author of this lecture.
So last time I said to chant is the most important part when people are together. And I had the kind of answer is, we are not here to chant today. You have another meeting for doing that.
When is that meeting?
Over time, over days of the week, or when I go once a month, we don't chant. They are talking about culture and everything, so I don't see everything you say is not coming to me.
I understand.
And then I say, and when I want to say something, they want me to be quiet in my corner and just pass to some other.
Okay. They.
Local meeting.
Okay. They. What's Daisaku Ikeda say? Do you want to base your practice on what they think?
No!
Or do you want to base your
They
practice on...
invite me to go to another meeting to chant.
And then tell them to shut the hell up because they don't know what they're saying. Okay? And pull this out and read it to them then. Are you doing anything? Are you doing a favor to them by going along with what they're telling you to do if you know it's not right?
So each time I say that to them, and then they say, but there is another time for that. So I say,
and again,
when we are together, it's the most important thing to do is to do that first.
I understand.
Okay.
And if you're in a environment where you're outnumbered, I'm not telling you to create a histrionics disruptive kind of an influence.
Yeah.
Okay? But what you cannot have happen is for that behavior to affect your understanding of what is correct.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
And what I'm talking about now is what is correct.
Yeah.
Not what everybody necessarily does.
Anyway.
Anyway,
I will stay
again, you know, you're taking issue with hearing things or seeing things that have nothing to do with anything you've ever heard from me.
But yeah,
so there are other people.
So I'm like that. I'm looking.
Well, I guess if you're confused about who to listen to, then that's.
I'm not confused. I'm seeing them doing things that
that are
their things in this case. You know?
Exactly, and so are many other people. So are many other people seeing things that are being done that are not in complete keeping with what I'm reading. Why do you think I read this?
Mm-hmm.
Why do I read this? Why do I constantly read every week for year after year after year after year after year? How long has this been going on? Am I reading this all because no one's ever heard of it before? No. I'm laying down markers. I'm laying down markers for people that think they know what they don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's why I read from the dictionary to qualify. You don't know. You think you know, but you don't know. And that's not a criticism or putting you down. It's to let you know you don't know. Okay? So if no one takes the brave action of going, excuse me, that's not correct. Isn't that basically, essentially what Nichiren Daishonin did? Did Nichiren ever care about whether either people listened to him or agreed with him?
No.
Ever? No. So, if you're looking for which direction to emulate, I would always go in the direction of Nichiren's behavior. The entire point is that that's how we're supposed to be living our lives anyhow.
Mm-hmm.
All right? So, he says, President Keita goes on to answer your question. Mm-hmm. He asks questions to answer your question. He says, how can we break through the closed, hardened shell of a person's life in the latter day of the law, which is a result of karma, which is a result of their freaking karma?
Right.
And self-absorption. Their freaking self-absorption often resembles an inhospitable frozen wasteland. He asked the question. He's going to answer you if you give him a chance. And how can we activate people's Buddha nature and awaken them on a fundamental level so that they can transform their lives? Sounds like he's listening to you.
Yeah.
This is the...
Endless.
What did it say?
Endless.
Endless! Okay, so what would endless mean to you?
Never stop.
That means you never got to the point where you got to the point. All right? Endless means it, right?
Yes.
Exactly. It means that's what you signed up for. You signed up for, to the last moment of your life, this is what I will be doing. Okay? You will not run out of people. You will not run out of opportunities. Okay? You have a function and have taken a vow to fulfill certain aspects of reality in the Sahe world through your existence. That's what you're supposed to be doing to the last moment of your life. Not worrying about too many other things other than that.
Right.
All right? Because you don't control any of that, and that's all gobbledygook outside of your life. All right? So this is the endless, after I just read those first two sentences, this is the endless challenge of our Buddhist practice. Okay? And that is why we ourselves must be active and engaged Buddhists who continue to work on our own inner transformation. Because we can argue those fine salient points with these individuals intellectually and they still won't get it. Because the reason they don't get it isn't because they're not smart enough, it's because their life condition in their karma is such that they don't have the fortune to have that clarity. That's also going to be discussed here. All right? So how do you convince them then? By changing yourself while they're not changing. That will become evident. It may not become something, it's not something that you can convey in a single conversation. But that's not the point. This isn't about winning each conversation. All right? This is about putting down a marker that lasts beyond your life. After you're dead, they're supposed to remember who you were. All right? In the Lotus Sutra, the bodhisattvas of the earth, the countless bodhisattvas who emerge dynamically from the earth when the ground trembles and splits open, come forward to take on this mission. And Bodhisattva Superior Practices is their leader. The significance of the transmission from Shakyamuni and many treasures to Bodhisattva Superior Practices. And I'm going to go over a little bit, but I got to get deep enough into this to make the point that this chapter is supposed to make before I break it off. Continuing on page 112. The significance of the transmission from Shakyamuni and many treasures to Bodhisattva Superior Practices. Now this is really deep, heavy, important stuff, so please pay attention. Nichiren Daishonin clarifies the practice for receiving the heritage of the ultimate law of life and death, saying. So in other words, if you had his, what is the heritage? How do we, he says, he clarifies it. That he answers that question. And it's in quotations here. The important point is to carry out your practice confident that Nam-myoho Renge-kyo alone, that's the significant word in that sentence, alone is the heritage that was transferred from Shakyamuni and many treasures to Bodhisattva Superior Practices. In terms of the ceremony of entrustment or transmission that took place during the ceremony in the air in the Lotus Sutra, this passage can be read as an exhortation to practice with the firm belief that Nam-myoho Renge-kyo is the great law that was passed on to superior practices by Shakyamuni and many treasures. And at the same time, this passage can also be read as an exhortation to practice with the firm belief that the teaching, according to Nichiren, is the correct teaching. In other words, it's basically an exhortation, believe me. Believe me. That's the faith you're supposed to have. That's what I'm talking about. When I talk about faith, I'm talking about faith in Nichiren's teaching. That's where the power of Nam-myoho Renge-kyo resides. Okay? Not in anything to do with Shakyamuni. Based on this view in the last installment, I am focused on the importance of practicing the Buddhist teaching as taught by Bodhisattva Superior Practices and of maintaining the shared commitment of mentor and disciple with Bodhisattva Superior Practices as the mentor. Not Shakyamuni as the mentor. No. Okay, so let's read that again. Based on this view, based on the view that I just clarified by reading what Daisaku Ikeda just wrote, that he wrote based on what Nichiren had said. Okay? Based on this view, in the last installment, I focused on the importance of practicing the Buddha's teaching as taught by Bodhisattva Superior Practices. So what is he saying in code there? As taught by Nichiren Daishonin. Because Superior Practices didn't hang around long enough to teach anything. You're not going to read that anywhere in the Lotus Sutra, right? So when he makes that statement, who is he talking about? He's talking about Nichiren Daishonin, all right? Taught by Nichiren Daishonin and of maintaining the shared commitment of mentor-disciple with Nichiren Daishonin as the mentor, but understanding that Nichiren Daishonin and Superior Practices are exactly the same entity. As are you! Well,
because we are,
there's no separation. This is the point.
Cycles.
Exactly. That's why you can achieve the same Buddhahood, okay, in one lifetime. Nichiren states the Lotus Sutra says that Bodhisattva Superior Practices will appear now in the latter day of the law to propagate the teaching. But has this happened, he asks? Whether or not Superior Practices has appeared in this world, Nichiren has already made a start in propagating this teaching. Okay? Then what does President Ikeda say? The truth. Bottom of page 112. Right column. Nichiren here. Nichiren is effectively affirming that he himself is Bodhisattva Superior Practices, who vowed to appear in the latter day of the law. He's just not being an arrogant asshole in doing it. Okay? Therefore, the heritage of the ultimate law of life and death flows in the lives of those who practice as Nichiren teaches. That's what I was talking about. Okay? And with the same commitment as he has. Okay? So it's to practice exactly as Nichiren. It's to do everything like you are Nichiren, is the mindset that you should have. Not one of arrogance, of all-powerfulness, I am Nichiren, but one of, I am a bodhisattva of the earth, and there's no separation between me and Nam-myoho Renge Kyo. Okay? Here, Nichiren concludes in this writing that we should practice Nam-myoho Renge Kyo. We should practice Nam-myoho Renge Kyo as the law that was entrusted to superior practices by Shakyamuni and many treasures. But a deeper interpretation can also be given to his emphasis of this point. Namely, that this entrustment signifies a major transition from the Buddha of true effect to the Buddha of true cause, and by extension from the Buddhism of true effect to the Buddhism of true cause. This signifies a major transmission of who is the Lord of teachings. Mm-hmm. It's not Shakyamuni anymore. It's the latter day of the law, when only the bodhisattvas of the earth appear. Shakyamuni doesn't reappear. In short, it is not simply a transfer of the law from Buddha to Bodhisattva, but rather a radical change in the very framework of the Buddhist teachings and in the person who serves as the teacher, or to use Buddhist terminology, the Lord of teachings. When considered in this light, the profound significance of Nam-myoho Renge Kyo as the law entrusted to superior practices becomes clearer. Do you understand? Mm-hmm. That was then, this is now. All right? This is the latter day. This is the time of Kosen Rufu. Former and the middle day weren't the time of Kosen Rufu. Only the latter day is. From the Buddha of true effect to the Buddha of true cause. Let us look briefly at the meaning of true cause and true effect. In the lifespan chapter of the Lotus Sutra, Shakyamuni reveals that he has in fact attained Buddhahood in the remote past. True cause refers to the practice he undertook at that time to realize that goal, while true effect refers to the enlightened state of Buddhahood he achieved as a result. That is the literal meaning of the concepts. The lifespan chapter further indicates that the Buddha who in fact attained enlightenment in the remote past is actually the true identity, the essential nature of all Buddhas. Could it be that that's why all Buddhists share in the same benefit? Because they're all of the same source? Okay? The lifespan chapter further indicates that the Buddha who in fact attained enlightenment in the remote past is actually the true identity, the essential nature, the Nam-myoho Renge Kyo of all Buddhas. This Buddha, who's not divided by a single individual face and name and form, this Buddha has continuously appeared ever since that time in the Sahe world and in various other lands as either a bodhisattva or Buddha to instruct living beings. Based on this explanation, the concept of true cause and true effect describes the fundamental causality through which all Buddhas attain enlightenment, because they all attain Buddhahood the same way you are. Do you understand that? There's no Buddha that did it a different way than you. They all did it through Nam-myoho Renge Kyo. That's the way you're going to do it too. Right? Okay. It's whether or not they're true Buddhists. Did they have the karmic fortune to be a bodhisattva of the earth, an original disciple? In that respect, the designation true effect refers to the Buddha and to the teachings that reveal the ultimate effect of attaining Buddhahood. Effect of attaining Buddhahood. All the teachings attributed to Shakyamuni fall into the category of the Buddhism of true effect, which reveals the fundamental effect of the Buddha's attainment of enlightenment in the remote past. The Buddha and the teachings of true effect expound a supreme state of existence that, in a sense, transcends what is attainable by human beings. It's fairyland shit. Okay? Seriously. All right? Because this is beyond ordinary comprehension. The Buddha and the teachings of true effect ultimately have no meaning for ordinary people except as metaphors. Gotta call them metaphors, because there's no other way we can wrap our heads around it. It's impossible to think of it that way. I change shapes, I do all the weird shit that you know. Those Buddhas were doing some stuff that you and I couldn't do if we wanted to, no matter how much Daimoku we chanted. Right? Why? Because all those things were expressed as expedient means. They've already been called out as fairy tales. Quit treating them as literal truths.
Oh, you are not
glooming
from a special light, you know, around your body.
Yeah, all that shit. Yeah. All that weird shit. Okay? That's not... That sounds like people. That sounds like stuff for people in the 12th century, 11th century, 10th.
Back, people still believe
right.
it today.
I don't think it would make it in today's under the burning light of the truth as we know it based on scientific evidence. Yet the Buddhism of sowing absolutely shines in that kind of scrutiny. Absolutely shines. Explains science because it's based on cause and effect. The Buddha and the teachings of true effect expound a supreme state of existence that, in a sense, transcends what is attainable by human beings. Because this is beyond ordinary comprehension, the Buddha and the teachings of true effect ultimately have no meaning for ordinary people except as metaphors. Referring to the essence of the Buddha and the teachings of true effect, Nichiren Daishonin states in The Gift of Rice that they teach that the clarity of the Buddha's mind is like the moon, and that the purity of the Buddha's mind is like a flower. Oh, that tells you a lot, doesn't it? Mm. Jesus. With this simple illustration, he indicates that they are merely figurative. Mm. In contrast, the designation of true cause refers to the Buddha and the teachings that reveal the supreme and fundamental cause for attaining enlightenment, which is the same for all Buddhas, even Shakyamuni and the other dudes that are mentioned there. Since the cause lies on the side of the practitioners, the teachings of true cause are those that expound the ultimate causality for attaining Buddhahood in a way that is relevant to the lives of ordinary people. They can aspire along that path. Bodhisattva superior practices, having received the heritage of the law from Shakyamuni and many treasures, is a bodhisattva who appears in this actual Sahe world as an ordinary human being. Get it? Mm-hmm. Right? Why? Why does it say superior practices? Having received the heritage of the law from Shakyamuni and many treasures, is a bodhisattva who appears in this actual Sahe world as an ordinary human being. Nice. Why can we say that? Because the bodhisattvas of the earth split after the entrustment chapter and said they're not coming back until Mappa. It's now Mappa. Have we seen any weird people come around, doing transcend? No. All we have in Mappa is human beings, ordinary human beings. So for superior practices to come back in Mappa to do Kosen Rufu,
he has
to come back as an ordinary human being. Bodhisattva superior practices, having received the heritage of the law from Shakyamuni and many treasures, is a bodhisattva who appears in this actual Sahe world as an ordinary human being. You, me.
That's right.
In order to realize the Lotus Sutra's ideal of universal enlightenment, not fettered or limited in any way, anywhere, it is necessary for him or her to not only practice the ultimate law of cause and effect for attaining Buddhahood, but also to embody it in his own life as a human being, and then to convey it to others in the latter day through his behavior as a human being. Do you understand? The Buddhism of true cause is predicated on ordinary people embodying the ultimate law of cause and effect for attaining Buddhahood in their lives, just as they are. Both cause and effect reside within us. The Buddhism of true cause describes this as the mystic law of the simultaneity of cause and effect. Even though we live in the 9 worlds, the 10th world is always there if we're aware it's there, if we're aware that it is the essence of our life. Nichiren states, Shakyamuni Buddha, who has attained perfect enlightenment, is our own flesh and blood. We are exactly the same. His practices and the resulting virtues are our bones and marrow. When we firmly establish in our lives the merit of practice and the benefit of Buddhahood, we can manifest within us the life state of the Buddha of perfect enlightenment. All right? I'll stop there. That's in the middle of something here. Actually, let me go for it. Let me go for the little bit more to finish it up. Continuing on page 115. The Buddhism of true cause expounds the Buddha and the teachings in terms of people's actual practice. Okay?
Yes.
Right? In the Gift of Rice again, Nichiren says, it is the teaching that the moon is itself is mind and flower itself is mind. This means that actual phenomena such as the moon or flowers themselves embody the mind of the Buddha, as do all things. Consequently, in light of the fact that Bodhisattva's superior practices embodies the mystic law, and spreads the Buddhism of true cause in the Sahe world, the normal, regular, earthbound people world, it follows that Shakyamuni and many treasures represent the Buddhas of true effect, while Bodhisattva's superior practices represents the Buddha. Bodhisattva superior practices represents the Buddha of true cause. Furthermore, for ordinary people who are striving to attain the way, the Buddhism of true effect, symbolized by the Buddhist Shakyamuni and many treasures, is a teaching that only inspires awe. The goal of enlightenment seeming like some unreachable object high in the heavens, or some manner in which to behave. It's a behavioral thing. Okay? It doesn't affect anybody else. It's totally focused on you. It's not appropriate. In contrast, the Buddhism of true cause is a teaching accessible to all, that inspires people to propagate the mystic law of the simultaneity of cause and effect, the fact that they're already Buddhas exactly as they are, that Bodhisattva's superior practices took the lead in embodying in his own life. Nichiren Daishonin took the lead in embodying in his own life. In the Buddhism of true effect, true cause and true effect are taught as being distinct and separate. While in the Buddhism of true cause and true effect are taught as being present simultaneously in the mystic law. Therefore, even though the same terms may be used in both teachings, they are fundamentally different. The mystic law of the simultaneity of cause and effect is the true seed of Buddhahood. It can be said that Shakyamuni originally became a Buddha by awakening to the existence of this seed and embodying the cause and effect for attaining enlightenment in his life. However, many of the teachings that are ascribed to Shakyamuni, acknowledging the reality that we don't know whether they were really by Shakyamuni or not, okay? However, many of the teachings that are ascribed to Shakyamuni do not mention the seed of Buddhahood itself and only remain within the realm of the Buddhism of true effect. The crux of the Lotus Sutra lies in the explanation of the entrustment or transmission of the heritage of the law from Shakyamuni and many treasures to Bodhisattva's superior practices. The very fact that the Lotus Sutra depicts this transfer of the law signals that a fundamental shift in emphasis in the teaching from true effect to true cause will be essential at a future time if the Lotus Sutra ideal and Buddha vow of universal enlightenment is to be realized. And so we'll stop on page 116 and we'll start again next time there on page 116. Thank you very much.
Thank you.